and then we're gonna go over the homework a little. And I don't think you're gonna lose out by not having done the homework, because it's pretty self-explanatory as we go through it. And you definitely have the opportunity to do it at any time, so you can continue with it from today forward. And it even though, you know, I made it really, really, really hard, as you guys well know, but the reason was,
I just heard what you just said. I was like, no, it was a piece of cake.
I made it so hard, but the reason that I didn't make it hard, the reason your guides made it so hard was just because it was just to recondition you. It was to open yourself up to a new way of being and to live like that, not to just visit it and do a homework assignment and then get back to the way you used to be. Okay, so let me just explain it to you. What everyone was asked to do is to understand that the universe is in constant and never-ending communication with us. And we're gonna just suspend doubt in this class and think of it as though we already know a lot of what we're gonna be talking about, meaning we have no doubt, we have no hesitancy in believing that we have the power to understand the communications that we have with our guides. And our role, our objective is simply to become more conscious and aware of how our guides in the universe are communicating with us. No more, how do I do it? What do I do? Is this right or is this wrong? Did I do it right? Is that a sign? I don't know if it's a sign. You know what? You can do that your whole entire life. So the assignment was to find every single day for the 30 days since I saw you last, a way that the universe communicated with you. How did you get a sign? What were you guided to? What question may have it been answering? What kind of psychic hits or hits did you get? So it was just to help you to, I think I asked you to do 10 a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was to
I was doing 20, what do you mean?
Your mother wrote to me and asked for a little extra credit for you, okay? There's a bubblegum machine at the end of the long alleyway waiting for you. I asked you to do 10 a day, and that really did come as a directive from your guides, because one a day is not enough to really retrain your focus into believing that it's this prevalent and that it's this constant, until you became consciously aware of how constant and prevalent it was by having that goal that you're trying to attain. I mean, I don't know if you're at 2 at 7 o'clock at night, but if you're at 2 at 7 o'clock at night, you're like, come on, and then you're reviewing the day, and you're thinking about it, and you want to get one more, you want to, you know, push yourself, but you're not going to push yourself if you were asked for 1 a day. So you're going to get the 1, and you're going to go back to life as usual. But the objective here was not to go back to life as usual with this being separate. The objective was to have this be a whole part of your normal lens of how you perceive reality, okay? I can't go an hour without this coming into my consciousness somehow. I'm always aware of how I'm getting messages or signs or banking something for a client. I'm always aware. It's as important as whatever's on my to-do list. It's as not important as though I have to continually be disciplined in looking. It's just that much of a flow. The phone rings, I get a message. I brush my teeth, there's a message. I talk to a client, there's some more messages. This is just the way life really is when we remember that this is the way life is, okay? So, we're obviously not gonna go through all 300 messages that each of you got. I can see these long, long lists around me.
Is that a spreadsheet?
Come on, you.
Oh my God.
My star pupil.
Oh my God.
Star
There
pupil.
was extra credit. No.
Yeah. But if you want to share maybe like a synopsis or feelings that you got or something that was unusual or just something that surprised you or how you perceived something differently because you were being consciously aware of how the universe is communicating with you.
When you just explained it, it's different than what I thought the assignment was.
Okay.
So those little things I get, but you had described it as a knowing.
Yes.
So that's where I got lost until one day when I was meditating, and I was seeing green, this really bright green. And so I said, who is this? Is this my spirit guide? Is this, you know, an angel? I was trying to think, you know, or get it to answer me, whatever was happening. And it went kind of weird, green, spacey. And then I knew, okay, when I was a kid, we lived a half a mile from our nearest neighbor. My mother's from Long Island, so she was always brought up here, go out and play, go out and play. She'd always say to me, get your nose out of a book and go out and play. So I would usually take my book outside.
That's like put down the video game? I don't think any parent is telling a kid today to get your nose out of the book.
Right. Well, one of the places I used to go was, there was a hill in the back, and I had a big gigantic tree, and I would go to this tree, and the trunk was big. And when this was coming, I was like feeling something wonderful, and I knew it was the same feeling that I was when I was under this tree. So I just Googled when I was done meditating tree, and this thing popped up, tree spirits. And it just, some of the things that they said, like trees are the oldest life form.
So funny,
One
before
of the
you
oldest,
arrived tonight,
Yeah.
We were talking about trees.
talking all about trees.
Okay, so they're one of the oldest life forms on the planet. The trunk is protective, of the energy flow system of a tree. The trees are renewed from the inside out. There's a lot of other ones that, the leaves could be waving to you and stuff, but let's not go that far. The tree roots are anchored to Mother Earth, like we should be. Roots are unseen, like our strength that is hidden under all our layers,
Wow.
like the tree. And their roots anchor them like our belief system anchor us.
Wow.
So I
Wonder I
really
love
only
trees
got,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's why you love trees so much.
Yeah.
I only got 2 knowings per se, because then we were asked to, my department writes reports about how to fix things, but the accounting department writes this 150-page consolidated financials. So they asked us to check it. So we divided up amongst our people, and each person gets a section. But I always love to pick it up, because I know I can find 1 or 2 things in no time
Yes.
flat that's wrong.
That's a knowing.
So that was my knowing. Now, when you describe them tonight, I'm almost done.
Oh, before you say any more, like, what is your last name?
Green, Gree.
That's why you were saying I saw green and, you know,
Ah.
like that.
No, when different people meditate, you can see colors. Some
Oh,
people
cool.
say it's different angels or whatever,
Oh,
but
so the
I don't always
chakras
see
too.
colors. But
Chakras come in colors too.
yeah,
Colors,
right.
colors.
And some people say
And
angels
there's something
have
significant
different
about our
colors.
last names, and we may or may not decipher it in our lifetime, but there is something significant.
Yeah, but it was like a really bright.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out
spring-
because
spring
that's something
green.
too.
Yeah, there is.
Well, anyway,
Right.
when you say, just little messages, I agree that. And I was driving upstate, visit my mother in the nursing home, and I go all over the city in Utica. It's called Utica, New York. It's a city, and it's actually a city, even though it's. And so I have to pick stuff up or drop it off. So I always use the GPS, because I want to go the fastest route or whatever. So it always tells me to come and turn on this one street, and all of a sudden it's like yelling to turn 2 streets away. There's like no traffic here, so there's no reason it would be.
Right.
So I was like, why would I turn there? And then I went down, the way I normally go, 1 more block. And then I said, yeah, but it told me to turn that way. I should have listened to it. So I turned to go.
Oh, jeez.
And that's okay. Make
Sorry.
sure that you don't need the call. So I said, let's see what's over here. And I think I even said, because my sister has passed, my younger sister, I said, Jackie, why did the GPS want me to go this way? And I went over, and the first street I saw was Bradford. That's my sister's deceased husband.
Wow.
And then I turned, and it was Auburn, and that's where my aunt and uncle lived that are both deceased.
Wow.
So
Wow.
their house on Long Island in Franklin Square is on Auburn Street.
Wow.
So, that's when I specifically asked why was I supposed to go there, and then
Yes.
I got 2 validations.
And you got the answer.
So,
Yeah, when I was referring
Other
to
than that, I
knowing this
failed.
at the last session, what I meant is like what I said really briefly in the beginning here, just to give yourself a suggestion that you know now? Because we tend to be so analytical, and we're like, was that a sign, was that not a sign, was that the answer, was that not the answer? So the knowingness was just, I know. We don't have to keep bothering with the doubt as the doorway entrance into our knowingness. That's what I meant, that kind of knowingness, okay? And also to understand also, the least sexy way to get a sign is when the answer pops into your head, because it doesn't feel valid enough. There's nothing that we can Google, there's nothing to have that we can touch. Yet, one of the most profound ways that we get signs and answers and wisdom and guidance from our guides is just by stuff that pops into our head. So that's part of the knowingness. So you don't say, why did I think that? What does it mean? And you don't have to take ownership of all of your great thoughts either, and therefore dismiss them as insignificant. We tend to think the messages from our guides are more important than the messages from ourselves or our higher selves. So when you recognize that the thought energy is coming from a source other than you, the knowingness is to capture the thought and the pop and write it down so that it's there for you. You don't have to act on it, but you have to capture it. Otherwise it's fleeting and it disappears as quickly as it came.
There's a
Okay?
book called Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. Have you
Oh,
ever seen
wow,
that one?
I love that book already.
What's it called?
I love that title. I
Think
wish I had
Like
written that
Leonardo
book.
da Vinci or something, I could bring it in, but he used to keep a book and write dreams and everything down, and apparently, so, anyway, it was in our book group, and we read this and whatever, and like he would go back to things. So there was an actor talking in a magazine, and he said he was working on the Gangs of New York. Is that the name of the streets of New York? One of those.
Gangs of New York.
Coppola movie, whatever, and he goes, oh, well, we're gonna break for lunch, but I want you to set this up, the waterfront, and I want you to do this and that, and he handed them a sketch to work with, and then they came back and they filmed it, and it was like the best scene. Like, I don't know the movie, so it was supposed to be like the best scene, and everybody was so happy, and they went up to the director, this big director, and said, oh wow, when did you sketch that out? Last night. And he said, last night. I have books, and when I get these ideas, I record them all down, and then I go back to them. So then another time I was out listening to somebody, and they said, yeah, I've been wanting to start a business, and then I found, I forgot that I had been thinking about it for years, and so he got it all ready, and he went back through his books, and he had written domain names that he didn't remember writing domain names
wow.
in this book, one of his books.
Yeah,
So he pulled it out and was able
Yes.
to use it to start his business.
yeah,
So apparently a lot of people
yeah. Yeah, there's
know
no doubt.
Leonardo better than everybody else. But
Well, in the beginning, when guides would be able to take my consciousness to other places and times, in order for me to not have snap back when they would take me, I wouldn't want to know where we were going. So if I could just stay with them, I could land somewhere. But if they told me where we were going, logic would prevent me from getting there, right? Because I'd say, I can't go there, I can't do that, who could do that, I can't do anything, all that stuff would come in, resistance. But one of the places they took me a lot, and I can still go there at any time I choose to, and I still do go there occasionally, was to visit Leonardo da Vinci. I actually love spending, I know it sounds bizarre, but I love spending time with him. When I'm with him, I'm aware of his consciousness. I'm aware of how his brain acts differently than what might be typical. And I just love the way that it works. And it's not, he's not, I'm talking in real life, like it's today, in the present. But he did it again. He was not always incredibly likable. You know what I mean? Like, he was off-putting to a lot of people. However, in his own head, he was really happy and filled with magic. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it was always so interesting that I can always see the difference between how someone is perceived and how they perceive themselves. Usually, like when I'm doing sessions with clients, my perception is that I see you through the lens of other people, and I see you far greater than you see yourself. And I loved that about Da Vinci, that he saw himself better than others saw him. Oddity. No problem there. Just that there wasn't a big enough level of awareness on Earth
Oh
for
my
people to
gosh.
perceive the greatness of him. That's really
Can you
what it
take me
was.
with
but-
you next time?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wanna go- I wanna go.
Really? You're holding out with Leonardo da Vinci?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh.
Take us all.
Yeah, I even know approximately, like I know the years that I visit there, and I know approximately what his age is. You know, I never ever researched what he was up to during the years, like his ages that he was when I visit. I should look that up, right?
You
Like, what
should.
his-
That
would-
Didn't
what
he
is it?
Body.
invent like a bunch of stuff that we use?
Yeah, so
like
I know I could
helicopters and
probably,
elevators and everything.
You in his time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So how old is he?
he was, I see little bits around 31, 32, but then I come back a lot more between like 35 and 37. Okay? So I
But
don't know
aren't
what
you
his
on the
body
other
works.
Because I think it was
Yeah,
older
he
when
was
he did the Sistine
I
I
Chapel.
was-
say I don't know. He might have been in his.
Oh, no, that was
Actually,
Michelangelo, I'm thinking. I'm
around
thinking
30 is
Michelangelo.
when around 30 is when I enter into the space.
Right,
Around 30.
right.
And do you know where he
He
got
had something major when he
received
was
all his
30.
information from?
He was
Or do you just get
intuitive.
it from,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know,
intuitive.
but you know, you don't know,
Yeah.
can you tell us who do you channel, or who, or?
I know I have been able to prove some of the souls that I channel, and there are a lot of them, tons of them. And I've been able to prove, like, in scientific ways, some of them that I channel. And I've channeled tons and tons and tons of souls. Only in a small group would I really share that, because people, they don't understand the process.
Can I ask
But-
you, do you channel people who were living, or do you channel,
Both. Both.
okay,
See,
So I
she
have-
could even read minds.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Well, she knew where
channel
I was
both.
going with that, yeah,
So
okay.
two of my most fun guys are two souls that never had an earth life. They never chose this realm.
Mhm.
So they're
Smart.
kind of fun. Yeah. Stay there. Stay there.
Oh, they get the best of it, they get to see what
I
you're
know.
like, and, you know.
And I'm like, who are you to guide me?
But when you
Walk in
visit,
my shoes.
when you visit, is he aware of you, or you're just
Well,
watching?
in that particular case, I mean, I visited so much. Like one of the, and I learn a lot. I learn a lot about life, the meaning of life, why we're here, how souls develop. I learn a lot from my visits. One of the lifetimes I visited more than I would have wanted to was the life of Hitler.
Oh.
And I know I was never present during his lifetime. So when I visit, I feel like I'm a security camera in the room. Like I'm very conscious of what people are experiencing in the room with him, but I'm not there. I'm like, no, it's like if you were to watch a supernatural movie and somebody knew that there was an energy of another soul in the room, I would be that soul. Like
Okay.
maybe at that time someone could have detected I was there, except no one really had the capability of knowing I was there. Do you follow me?
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
But in Leonardo's case, and in other more well-known people, I had an earth life then. So I was able to live behind my eyes of consciousness
Oh.
and make discoveries. And in Leonardo's life, I had two selves on earth at the same time. So I got to have these parallel experiences of, you know, seeing what the town was like and what his influence in that town was like. He still, he didn't feel known very well, especially when he was 30. I don't know if he really was, but in my visits, I don't feel like he was. So he was known to be, he had a reputation as being eccentric, but he wasn't known as being phenomenal. And the two lenses that I could see, one time I was an adult male and one time I was a younger female. So I got to see the perspective of him and his life and his reality through these two lenses. So it was really very, very fascinating to experience, experience it from so many dimensions, you know? It was cool, really cool.
But Hitler, do you think it's part that you, oh, well, you didn't have a life then, you're saying?
No, I
You
didn't.
have an earth life.
I was on Earth then, but I never ever came anywhere near or in the same city or the same town anywhere near him.
Because
Okay.
would your, at that point, do you have a subconscious or an unconscious that may prevent you from being closer to him?
No, because I know I know why I was brought there, and
Okay.
what I was brought there to see, 2 visits in particular, and we were able to verify the visits, which is interesting. So one was, I was able, I know stuff, so I know I was visiting him when he was 19, and I knew exactly what he was doing, I knew exactly what was on his mind, I knew everything about what was in his head. It was the weirdest thing. And the guides brought me through this whole scene and the result and how it made him feel, and how it became a pivotal point in his life. It became a turning point in his life,
This
right?
is his mother, right?
And what was really fascinating is I was describing everything. I don't know or care about Hitler at all, right? I actually have such an aversion to him. So I could never tell you where he was born or raised, or where he went to school if he did, or when he entered the military, or where he lived throughout his life. I don't care. The less I know about him, the better. But I was able to describe in detail where I was when he was 19, where I was coming in as a security camera. And I was able to describe the street and the houses, and I started getting a knowingness of where we were. We were actually in Austria. And how the hell would I make that up?
Why do you
can't make
think
that
they
up.
showed you that?
So here's the thing. So we were able to confirm that sure enough, he would have been on this street in Austria at the age of 19, okay? So that's pretty validating. But what it was, he did not have a supportive childhood, as we have to assume, because you can't grow up like that if you are loved and cared for. But this turning point was, there was a girl he liked, and he put it in his head to ask her on a date, and he you know, think about this is pre-telephones, kind of, like you're not just ringing somebody's house, getting their number, everything's very personal then. So he goes to her house, I could see it, it's like a 2-story family house, and I'm with him, like walking to the house, and I'm standing like in his consciousness on the other side of the street, like behind his consciousness, and I'm listening to the debate in his head about ringing the doorbell. He wants to ask this girl on a date, okay? And the debate is endless. His paralysis of being able to ring that doorbell is overwhelming to me, okay? And in the end, he does walk across the street, I can feel the family in the house, I can feel the girl in the house, I feel everything. I can feel their socioeconomic status. And inevitably something distracts him, just somebody living a normal life, and distracts him and pops him out of his state of paralysis, and he leaves without ringing the doorbell, okay? And so what happens after that is his self-loathing and his self-punishment becomes so horrific that he makes a decision that no one or nothing is ever gonna have any power over him again. In that second, it was like he snapped. It was and I felt everything, and I felt him walking back up the street, and I felt this shift, and I almost felt him become exact and militaristic, and I will never fail again. It was such a weird thing, and that was the way he managed what he felt like was cowardice. He was never ever going to be a coward again.
That
So
simple
strange.
little thing turns into.
But it was, you know, you have to think of a lifetime of experiences that led to that moment, right? That just synthesized all the abstract stuff that he was carrying before then. Then
Can
one
you
of the
imagine-
other,
Can you imagine finding out that you were that girl, that if he would have asked, it could have changed
Could've-
everything?
yes,
Could you imagine finding
everything.
out that you were
But what
Hitler
if-
and this was?
Yes.
That could be
Yeah.
interesting.
the other
I wonder
most
if he'd ever
memorable
come back.
time
Maybe
I
he'd come back.
visited
How do you
him.
do that? Do you go in meditation or
No, I
your
just-
past life? Or?
I've just, I don't know, it's a very long story, but I've just learned I've learned how to allow myself to let my consciousness go anywhere, and I'm always guided. I would never choose to visit Hitler. So I'm guided because the guides have an agenda of some discovery that I can make in a more meaningful way by visiting something
And you
rather
know
than
you're safe. You always know,
re-experience.
you feel
Yes.
safe.
But one of the most telling, like a lot of people, they'll always ask me questions about, you know, we have an amazing loathing and hatred for criminals. You know what I mean? Like in general, we don't have empathy or sympathy for when someone is murdering someone or doing something heinous. So I get a lot of questions about that. So what they did was they brought me to that moment so I could kind of comprehend him a little bit and understand the abuse that he went through to get to that moment, like his dad's opinion of him and the way his dad raised him and stuff. So I got all that, but then I was in I'm in a meeting. I'm in a war strategy meeting, a military strategy meeting. Okay, and I'm telling you, I could paint the room. The details I know in this room are unbelievable. So on this side of the room, the entrance is right here. It's a big rectangular room, not dissimilar from this actually, but much prettier. It had a lot of architectural detail and everything. In the back was actually a big double door with palladium windows that went out. I mean, it was actually a really nice room. And so there was these big maps up on this side and a table, and Hitler and two men were standing here. And then there were about 3 rows of officers over here, okay? And, you know, he was like you can imagine, like circling things and giving orders. I mean, it was really a strategy meeting. And it was very new in the whole circumstance. And I'm looking at the officers. I have to tell you, they were so young.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Always think about that.
Oh my God, they were so young.
That is so interesting you're saying that.
And as Karen somehow, I'm looking at their faces. I'm like, this is not how we imagine it, right?
Yeah.
They were so
Babies.
young.
Yeah.
So now there's one guy. I swear to you, he looks like he's 16 years old. He's probably in his early 20s, and he's an officer. He's got, you know, very shaved back, blonde hair. He's got bluish eyes, beautiful face, just a lovely, lovely, lovely young man. And now I bounce, and they put me in his thought energy, okay? And what I first get is Hitler's thought energy, which is very analytical and focused. Like there's no emotion in it. It's very driven, very detail-oriented, very exact, precise, okay? So I'm getting his energy. Then I bounce over to this kid, and this is what I'm getting. It blew me away. He says in his head, I hope he notices me. I hope he calls on me. I hope he knows I'm here. I wonder if he'll ask me a question. I wonder if he knows who I am. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. This is everyone in this room. It's their father figure. Everyone wants to be liked by this stupid man, you know?
They didn't have it at home.
They were so eager for his approval. It was so sad because I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that this guy was never going to get recognized. I knew it. So he was going to spend his entire military career seeking the approval of that man.
Probably
Imagine what he did to get that approval.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it was to him,
Exactly.
the clarity that I had was if you were without food for 2 weeks, that nod was the food after 2 weeks. That's how important it was. It wasn't just, oh, I hope he calls on me. It was life.
Well, because Germany at that point was so poor, so bad off, that people were looking for leadership. You know, so when you think about how crazy, I mean,
somebody rises.
You know, you don't like to be make it logical, but it falls into place. It's incredible that you're talking about this stuff because I always think like that about Hitler and about people following him and everything.
Like, why would they follow?
Why would they do that? You know, and then the atrocities that they would commit. Like you know, and it had
And
to be
some of
for
the
that.
testimony, as I was told to,
Absolutely.
over and over.
I was told to.
Yes,
I was
and
told
the
to.
idea that even to be in that room, so I don't know, it's probably less than 20 officers in that room, probably less than 15, right? So even to be in that room, you consider it to be such an honor.
Correct.
So you will do anything to keep that that
Status.
status, that's the biggest nod of approval you've ever gotten in your life, just by being in that. And now, these 15 guys are leading 15 guys, and they're leading 15, and everybody has these same needs. It's really, it's so
Yeah, but
interesting
like
to see the
you say
domino
too,
effect.
those officers have food, and those officers have clothes
Yes.
and transportation,
Yes.
where nobody
And the
did.
rest of the country
And that
was
was a
so-
time where kids were, what is it, seen but not heard, so
Yes.
you weren't, you know, it was
Yes.
a very,
Yeah,
It was very, very, very crazy.
Yeah.
And I've been speaking to a German man whose history is his mom was from, obviously he's German, he's from Germany, but she's really from a part, whoops.
I'm sorry.
this is in plastic.
Have a bathroom? I'll get you
Yeah.
a napkin.
Let me go grab some paper towels, I'll be right back.
Sorry.
No, you stay there.
What people go through as young people, how it affects them.
Yes,
And his mother still talks about it.
it's amazing, right?
Still talks about what it was like and how they ran away from everything, and it was just, it's like mind-boggling. They went, whole towns moved away to get away, and then moved back, and like, we have no clue. We have no
I
clue.
mean, supposedly Hitler was psychic also, and had a lot of psychic people supposedly telling him what to do and a lot of things, and also that were very involved in drugs,
Ah, that's
hallucinogenic
unbelievable.
drugs, and gave it to all of his officers, so they were always
I didn't know.
a little crazy.
But he gave them methamphetamine, is what he gave them.
Amphetamines, yeah.
So when
That's
they were to
fascinating.
kill, there was no like trouble with
Right.
it. They didn't have a conscience
Yeah,
to
it was
kill.
done.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That
yeah.
his
Yeah.
soldiers.
It's a
Wow,
really
I
interesting
never heard that.
Oh,
concept.
it's-
Supposedly he was psychic also, and had a lot of psychic people
Special
around him.
forces use it age.
Wow,
Part of the training,
yeah,
you have to be bigger than the other guy.
it's amazing.
Didn't you ever think about how they even marched? I mean, that energy that they needed just to march?
Y'all know way too much about Hitler.
Well, listen, that's what I learned as a kid. That was my history.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I went, my history was, Vietnam War, we were living it. So that wasn't my history. Do you know what I'm saying? So my history
I have the same history.
was World War I,
Yes.
World War II,
Yes.
and Korean
Yes.
War. So that's
Yeah.
what we learned.
Yeah,
So yeah, we learned all of that.
I mean, it's really fascinating now, but
It's-
I know.
it's
But the
sickening,
point
isn't
was
it?
that where I
It's
was,
sickening.
this is intuition development, so where guides brought me during those periods were really for me to have an understanding of how life works. How things happen that seem odd, like why did they happen? I'll also see the benefits of them happening, but I also get to see what the conditions are for them to begin. And that's very helpful. It's very helpful for the main purpose of us all helping people to be kinder to one another, Like, one of the coolest things is like how short the reign was of the previous pope, and he was not a high vibrational energy person, and it was one of the shortest reigns in popedom. But, now we got this new guy in who really is the epitome of the vibration of love, as much as the Vatican would allow that vibration to be in there. So it's so fascinating how sometimes we set ourselves up for the next hitter who's gonna hit the home run, right? Okay, so did anyone else have any enlightening experiences in being mindful of the way that the universe is connecting with you?
I did notice that I always seem to think I have more hits when I'm with my daughter.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I seem to, when I look through the few hits I did get, and then I could say, that really must have been real, because I'm a little analytical and a little weird like that. But the thing is, always with my daughter, I know I seem to be like more in tune with what she's, I don't think it was, and a lot of them I don't think was like, okay, I just know her obviously. But they were thinking,
I
think you're gonna,
understand. It goes beyond
yeah,
that.
it was beyond that, so I seem to know more about, with her, I was able to get more.
Okay,
When she was around, I would just,
yes. And one of the things that you're tapping into is unconscious memories of knowing her before you both were born. When we know each other in the energy realm, and then we kind of reconnect on Earth, we already have a basis of a relationship. And the more interconnected that relationship is, the more intimately we'll know each other in this lifetime. So you could have that same experience with someone that you've only known a couple of months, but what you don't remember necessarily is the body of history that you have in the energy realm or in other lifetimes, okay? But yeah, we can definitely have more intuition with certain people. And we can also have more intuition with certain people that we don't even have the same intimate relationship in our history with when we feel safe. When we're in environments that we feel really, really loved, and we know people have our back, we tend to become more intuitive, okay? And that's something to remember too. When people are critical and they're negative or they're disparaging, it's more difficult for you to attune to your own intuition because they put you on guard and they're putting you into a vibrational space that's counter to the conduit to intuition, which is love. The conduit is love, right? So sometimes when somebody's making you feel uncomfortable, they're separating you from the vibration of love in that moment, but they're also separating you from intuition. Intuition would say, get the hell away from this person, right? But you're closing it because you're logically, why doesn't he like me? Or, you know, how can he be like this? Or I think there's a good soul underneath that. Like we logic our way into staying, right?
We're too nice.
But intuition would say,
We're just too nice.
run. Okay, so any other last shares? 'Cause
Actually, I do.
Okay.
Well, actually, two crazy things happened, kind of crazy things, within days apart, and I did write it down. One, and they both took place in relation to where my sister lives. One, my neighbor found, her neighbor found a dog that was randomly loose, and I just happened to be outside, and he was like, oh my god, I found this dog, there's no collar, I don't know what to do. And I was like, alright, I'm gonna take a picture of it and put it up on Facebook. There's on the Oceanside forum, you can, it happens all the time, people put posts about lost dogs, and then it goes out to like everywhere, and they usually find homes. So I put it up. That was that night. By the next morning, the dog already was home. Like,
Wow.
dog had no identification. It got shared like 200 times on Facebook, went to shelters, and went to news channels, and then I woke up and I was like, oh my god, the dog actually got found. That's a little crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then about 2 days later, I was in the yard, and there was this girl walking a dog, and she came up to me. You can know when you like, just like feel someone staring at you, like, but like, you're trying to like ignore it, like, oh my god.
Okay, if you could just please stop.
I was like, oh my god, and she was like, oh, excuse me, ma'am, and I was like, oh, young girl, younger than me, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And she was like, I don't know where I am, and I was like, okay, where are you trying to go? And she was like, I have memory issues, and I don't know where I am. And this is my boyfriend's dog, and she was freaking out. And I was like, okay, her phone died, and I was like, all right, it's okay. Let's get the dog in the yard. I took the dog in the yard. I was like, we're gonna go charge your phone. Because she couldn't remember even the name of the street. Yeah, we're gonna just go charge your phone. She's like, but it's an Android. I'm like, it's alright, I have the charger somewhere. Come inside the house. And she was like very, very timid. Like she didn't want to go into a stranger's house. So whatever, charged her phone, called her boyfriend, and it ended up being my sister's neighbor 2 houses down. It was his girlfriend who suffered from PTSD, and she has memory issues, which often happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
She found you.
Yeah, how weird is that? I was like, what?
I know.
You know, but
That's
you're
not weird,
operating
that's-
on so many levels of consciousness. The level of consciousness that allowed her to accept help from you was one that was protecting her. You follow me?
Yeah,
It's
okay.
those levels are just so amazing how they operate.
Felt so bad.
Oh,
She was like,
wow.
oh, this is a good house. I was like, oh my god, you want a hug right now? It felt so bad.
So did you put a big sign up on your house, home for lost?
I was like,
lost
and then
animals,
my mom
lost
came
people,
out.
lost
Oh my god.
toys.
She was like, when you go for a
Amelia
walk, remember this
Earhart.
house. This is a good house.
Aw.
Amelia, welcome.
Yeah, how crazy is that? I was like, oh man, I definitely have to write this down. I think this counts as 4, 5, and 6.
Is that why animals would be attracted to you?
Yes, yes.
Ah.
Before I had these experiences, and I still had all my pain and masks and layers from childhood, I was not an animals go-to person. And now I'm like the freaking Pied Pipers for dogs. Like, Karen.
What is it? Birds, turkeys?
But everything. I feel like a giant magnet, and all the, particles in space that are charged with any metallic elements in it. They all just come, okay, got it.
That's so weird because in 3 days, I came out my house, I was walking the dog, and I came out the house and there was a deer in front of my house, but there's no deer in my area. It's down by the water, I'm not by the water, and okay, so I went home and I got my phone to take a picture and the deer was still out there.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the next day, there was a raccoon. It was in the morning. I was going for a walk, and there was a raccoon out there, which scared me because I knew that the raccoon should not be out there.
Yes.
So I ran the other way. I tried to take a picture, but I was too scared. And then I ran away. But it was all these animals were in
Yeah,
my
You in that area?
That'd be amazing. Release the raccoon.
Can I just say a couple of things? I'm going to make it short. So you guys know when we were talking about the driving part, I shared this with you. Well, I'm in my car. I just have to read it because I don't remember because it was about a month ago. So I'm driving home. I'm minding my own business. I'm in the middle lane doing 63. All of a sudden I hear, I laughed out loud and I said, is that one of you?
That's funny.
Phil, please.
That is funny.
But I thought it was funny. She's like, you said you have to bring that up. So if it wasn't written down, it would have been for that.
That's hysterical.
That's so funny.
Well, what I did was, in the beginning of this homework assignment, with the exception of the first day was the day that we talked, but on a couple of the days, I didn't go to bed until I had all 10 done. And I'm like, but what that did was,
Make you very tired.
that makes sense.
I know, I'm tired.
But what that
There you go.
That's so funny. But what that did was, it actually kind of trained my brain.
That's
or
the whole
trained,
point, was to
train.
train it.
Let me tell you, I got
Try to
like
catch 'em
4
earlier in the day.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, towards the end, I didn't really. It looks impressive, like the first couple of days, but after that, maybe
my
the
God,
first.
it
thir-
really
you know,
is what you wrote down.
It's amazing.
But like from that, I got like the dreams are important. I got that. I think a lot of stupid thoughts, and they all come true. I'm telling you, I think. And then when I said, I'll just share this last one. I'm telling you.
I keep picturing me with Oprah sitting on the lawn.
Well, that's not stupid. No, that's not.
And he made it stupid.
No. Well, like how I think of all of these things, I can tell you what drivers are going to do, where drivers are going to go. I can use this almost anywhere if I can pay attention.
Yes.
And at work, I think of the silliest things. I think of these people and they call and
Yeah.
I know I should have done that paperwork and it comes back as, it comes back like you did it wrong. Like all of these things. But one of the really coolest things that happened today was there's this little girl. I forget how old she is. How old would you be if you like that?
My niece is 42.
6,
Anyway.
So let's say 6.
She always has a smile on her face. She is so adorable. I always want to give her a hug. Can you imagine me wanting to give somebody a hug? Well, I said they're not going to be in for the next week or 2 or 3. And I said, I had this silly thought of I want to give you a hug every time. So I said it out loud. I was like, I just want to give you a hug. And she opened up her arms and she gave me the most awesome hug. And I was just like, in that moment for a second. And I was short with people today. I'm like, man, I don't have time to do all this stuff. And I got this and I just waited for a second. I was like, this made my day.
Yeah.
It was just, it
Yeah.
just transformed. I'm like, man, if I would have gotten that hug in the beginning of the day, can you imagine how my day would have turned out?
Yes. That's
That
really
was,
cool.
that was interesting what you said though. At work, when I retired in January,
Oh,
But when I
nice.
was at-
I want to retire.
at work, it was easier to predict, I'll say predict or to to figure things out. Like I'd be able to say that they're gonna use this and this. It's very weird, like maybe because I worked there so long.
No,
But
no.
you were able to,
You do- you
I
can-
was able
I
to
understand what you're
do, I mean,
saying.
I could have done 10
Yeah.
easily every day.
Yes.
Yep.
No question about it.
Yes.
And it would have been, and I wouldn't even tell anybody. I would just, I would just write things down and say, there, this is gonna happen, whatever. But once I stopped working, that all,
When you shifted the areas of your brain that you're firing up. So for you, what you were doing at work was firing up that connection. So now, when you shift, like you feel differently and you think differently when you're on vacation versus when you're at work, when you're at work versus when you're at your parents' house, when you're at parents' house versus, so the brain is always shifting around. So you were able to find that one of the places where you did connect was in that particular environment, okay? And I'll say this forever and ever and ever. People who are good at their jobs, I don't care what the job is, are intuitive. People who are not good at their job don't have any intuition.
Let me tell you, I thought of that today. I thought of that same thing. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
oh
the
my
truth.
God, it is so true. If I follow
Yes.
my intuition at work,
Yes,
it's so smooth.
yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And I
Yes.
thought about you again today. I'm like, because when I was, you know, like when you're just so overwhelmed with so many different things and I just didn't know which direction. I could be the most intuitive person, but I'm still not going to get done with what I need to get done. And for the most part, I act like this. The way that you're seeing me right now is how I am. But like the last couple of days, like yesterday and today, I was thinking of you and I was just like, why am I so short with people and how does Karen do it? How is she always so nice? I'm like, I want to be like her.
I don't know,
think
we
the
kill
intuitive
some
part,
of these children and these animals off. We'll see if we can get to the root of it all.
awesome.
When you increase your vibrational energy and you become more intuitive, it becomes natural. It's not a thought. It just becomes the essence of your being. There's nothing to fight anymore. There's nothing to carve out. There's nothing that you have to grab. There's no short supply of anything you need or want that you have to fight over, right? Kindness, compliment, promotion. You know what I mean? It just feels better. You feel better in your own skin, and so it's natural to be nice. You don't even think differently than being nice.
For the most part, I am, but I just noticed I was a little bit short, and I just stepped back and I asked the question, and then I thought of you, and I didn't come to that, but I came to that. Like if you like,
Yeah.
it's just like
One
I
of
don't
the
need to.
one thing is that, you know, self-love is the most important thing in the world. We all know that, right? And when you are using intuition, as I said, if you're around someone that is very, very negative or oppressive, it's going to be much harder to be intuitive, because what they're doing is they're judging you and you feel judged. So your self-love is not high when you're with them. Therefore, your intuitive conduit shuts down. So basically, at the core of it is that sometimes even the most loving person will be short with those who don't value and appreciate them. So when you're operating in that environment, it makes you feel insecure. It elicits your insecurities, and it's very hard to be intuitive, and it's hard to be comfortable. So some
Can you
people
write me
might
a note
retreat,
tomorrow?
and some people retreat or quit or hide. Some people become less skilled, so that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that what you believe I am, I become, as a reflection of how you make me feel about myself.
Ooh, I was
And
gonna
some
quit
people
yesterday.
become short,
Makes
not
sense.
with the
That does make
critical
sense.
person, but sometimes they'll become short with everybody around them.
I was gonna quit
What's a
yesterday.
good way to
I was
manage
just
that
ready.
energy? What's a good way to, if you have to be present in it, manage?
Well, you know, they have to start with the ultimate target. The target might be years away from you, but you have to set a target, and the target is you don't have to be with them. And then from there on, you can find all the steps in between. How can I deal with this personality? How can I spend less time with this person? How can I shift their energy? How can I help them to value me? How can I help them to value themselves? So the first target you put right out there is you don't need to be with them. Ultimately down the road, after you try other methods, you're allowed to let anybody out of your life, whether it's your mother or your neighbor or a spouse. You're allowed to let anyone go, contrary to how we tell each other that you're not allowed. You are allowed ultimately. Okay, that's it gives you a little sense of empowerment if you know ultimately you can let them go, because then it gives you more power to not be too attached to the outcome if you try strategies to help them be more enjoyable in your space, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
I have one more thing to say.
yeah.
Can you put a thought in someone's head, like three of the things that I did? So, like, you know, when you're talking to someone, a friend of mine came over and she has a set of chairs I know I wanted. Set of chairs. I haven't seen her in a month. Came over to visit, and I said, oh, to myself in my head, I said, oh, gee, I wish you'd get rid of those chairs. Well, about a half hour later, we're in conversation. She goes, by the way, do you still want those chairs? And like that happened 3 times in this last.
So you have a
Can
whole dining room set now?
No, but
That's
can
good.
you-
That's good.
I really want that diamond ring. Hope she wants to get rid of that diamond ring.
I know these chairs are just, but you know,
Yeah.
can you do that?
No,
Or
what
is it just
happens
weird?
is,
Yeah.
what it really is it's a combination of things. Number one, it's so weird to realize that there's no such thing as time. So you could actually have your consciousness bump ahead of her wanting to get rid of the chairs, and then you can step into right before she gets rid of the chairs and have the thought. So the thought catches back to you. You follow me?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's precognition, okay? It's precognition. And the other thing is too, like sometimes it's manifestation, because we can have a vision of something that we want, and that vision might not be able to be manifested within the immediate moment, but the guides can help co-create an opportunity for that to happen to you, all right? Again, I'm gonna give you like a really kind of funny example. Don't try this at home. But here's a funny example. Like I have a huge row of bushes on my property, massive. I mean, I don't even know how freaking big it is. It's just enormous. And I was standing out there on a Sunday, and the way I usually will phrase something with my husband is, what do you think about doing this, or would you like to do this, or maybe we can. This is how I would normally, home improvement, this is the way a conversation would go. Well, I stood there, I don't even know why I did it. I said, I'm going to have these bushes taken out and replaced. Oh, and I said, I'm going to have someone take these bushes out and have them replaced. That's all I said. And I didn't continue. There was like, no, well, who should I call? Should I get a landscaper? Do we know anyone that can take them out? It was just boom, that's all I did. I said that and then I left. The following day, it's just so funny. The very following day, a 15-year-old kid driving a big SUV
Oh my
Oh my
comes
God.
plowing down my road and takes out
Oh my
60 foot of bushes.
Oh my God.
gee.
For
Oh,
free.
that's so cool.
It was like chitty chitty bang bang.
Oh my God.
Like you've never seen anything in your entire life. And I'm like, I told you I was gonna have those bushes taken out.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
hilarious.
The very next day,
Wow.
less than 24 hours.
Will you come to my house?
So I'm like, all
Power
right,
of
I think I need to return this wand and get one a little bit less powerful.
That is so cool.
Go
I
back
wish I
a
would have
wand.
manifested something better than chairs.
Yeah, right.
So long story short, the car he was driving, very long story
Was
short,
he all right,
was,
the
was,
kid?
he
Yeah.
was fine. So otherwise I wouldn't make a big joke out of it, but ultimately the car was not insured, so because of what this 15-year-old did, the father came and brought landscapers and said,
Stop
we're
it.
gonna take all of this out and we're gonna plant, here's
perfect.
some different plants we can plant. You prefer this or you prefer
That's
that?
awesome. That is awesome.
What did Stryker say?
He knows he's married to a witch, so I guess I'm kind of used to it.
That's really wonderful.
That's
That's
I just want to
hysterical.
add, there's something else about what you said about intentional thought. Like, I often project that I'm talking to the other person's higher self, kind
Yes,
of like
yes,
I communicate
yes.
to it, and I think it's communicating with me, even if we both don't really
Yes,
know.
it's a great strategy. You know, the challenge is that sometimes the human is so encumbered that belongs to the higher self that they can't download the great idea. But I've seen miracles where an encumbered human downloads your message to their higher self, and they get this like flash of lucidity, and something opens or bends and something becomes good. So it
I
is
do when somebody's
fascinating
medically
how it's-
ill and they can't talk to you on respirator. I've done it to my brother-in-law.
Yes.
He's almost dying. I talked to. I
Yes,
just
it is.
intentionally.
It's amazing how powerful thought energy is. It's really limitless, very limitless. Okay, so tonight what we're going to work, the way we looked at last time, how we don't need to set up any obstacles for ourselves. We need to just accept that we are in constant and never-ending communication with our guides in the universe, and that the universe is designed to be our partner for our good. Okay, and that doesn't mean to learn your lessons through hardship. It doesn't mean that. It means that you are by design here because you have a very strong soul's purpose. And you don't have to go the hard route to get to that purpose, to parallel with it. The universe and your guides really want you to get there as easily as possible. Being human, we make it so hard. We make it almost as hard as possible. So your guides are not only your partner, but they also don't want you to have to do things the hard way. They want to try to help you find the ease in getting things done. So just the same way last time we decided to let go of any of these false ideas that you are less than, or you can't be intuitive, or maybe the universe isn't speaking to you constantly. We're going to do the same tonight with tonight's focus. And what we're going to be focusing on tonight is writing with our guides, okay? So we're all going to start with the same level canvas, and the canvas of reality that we'll start with is that every person in this room has the same capability of communicating in writing with their guides as everybody else in this room, including me, okay? So no one in this room is better than another, no one is more gifted than another. We're all coming from the same source, and that is the source of all that is. We all have this within us, and so tonight we're going to accept that premise that we all have the capability of doing it. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to be giving you some writing assignments. I'll set you up with a mini focus like I did last time with the guides. You know, they say some things. I don't know what they'll say, but they'll say some things first. And then I'll give you the assignments as your guides give them to you. And they'll give you a designated amount of time to write. Huh?
I'm overheating from this assignment.
They'll give you a designated amount of time to write. I'll tell you in advance how long they'll give you for each assignment. Understand that there is no right answer, there's no wrong answer, there's no better or worse, there's no expectation that anyone in the room has to have. The only thing you're going to do is do what they're asking you to do as they ask you to do it. That's all you have to do, nothing more than that. There's nothing to worry about, there's nothing, nobody to impress. There's nothing going on here except just do what your guides ask you to do, just for the amount of time that they ask you to do it, and just tonight. That's all this is, okay? All right, okay. So that's why I wanted to have a little bit more paper, because I know a lot of people with journals, the content inside one of their journals becomes very important to them. And if they don't feel that they had the success that they wanted with a homework assignment or a written assignment, they don't want it to be a part of a bound book that they keep, because it makes them feel as though they were less than, and they feel like that energy is in the book. This is the reason I gave you the opportunity to have paper. None of that is true, because no matter what you write, even if it's in a bound book, it's beautiful, and it is a wonderful opportunity for your growth and discovery. However, we're human, and we always have that little critiquing, self-critiquing lens on, so I always feel like people should have permission with their bound books to do and explore with those bound books what they would like to do and explore with them, okay? All right. Okay, so as I can see it, we're going to be doing 3 different writing assignments tonight. I don't know exactly how much time you'll be given for each one. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to say a series of sentences. I'm going to say some things that they ask me to say. And then I'm going to give you the instruction for your first writing assignment, okay? From the beginning when I start to talk, and you'll know when I'm beginning, there's no talking for anyone here after that point. And I'll also tell you approximately how long you'll have to write about that topic. It doesn't really matter. It's not for you to watch your watch. It's for you to have an idea, because when you're doing writing assignments, it can be frustrating if you don't feel like you have some relevancy or knowledge about what's going on with time. It can be a little disconcerting, okay? It can be endless if you think you're done and it's still going. So I'll give you a time frame too, so you can know what to expect, all right?
Before you say it, like, so after you say what there is to say, then we're gonna be quiet for
As
like
long
five-
as I told you to write,
Right.
and then I'll say, all right, pencils down,
The,
and
the only reason why I'm asking is that you want me to stop it, so that you.
when I say that we will, begin writing, and you have a designated period of time, yes,
Then
I
I
would
can
like
say-
you to
okay.
stop it then, and then put it back on when I say, okay, we're done,
All right.
great point.
All right.
Yeah, cause the people that are absent tonight, they don't really wanna watch us for 12 minutes. They certainly don't wanna see what I'm doing while you write.
They might wanna.
True, I need my own pen out. Okay, so. Oh, I even have a book. Look at that. Okay,
It's almost
Um,
8:15, it's 8:13.
all right, good, we're doing well. All right, I'm going to set forth whatever it is that they would like to say first. I do have a sense that our first assignment of writing is gonna be relatively brief, okay? So we're looking at, maybe about a 4-minute window, okay? So what that means is that they're not giving you any time to fret or overthink.
Too late.
This is one of these assignments where you get in and you get out, okay? If they wanted you to do a lot of thinking or fretting or over analyzing, they'd have given you more time to do all that, but they're not. You're gonna get in and you're gonna get out because the boat is leaving, okay? And there's no more boats until Thursday. Okay, good. All right, so let me set you up with what it is that they want you to hear, okay? I can already sense I'm gonna talk as though I am your guide. So you're listening as though I am your guide. So I am each one of you's guide, all right? So it's different for each one of you, okay? You can imagine or think or know who that guide is that's speaking to you. I don't have an agenda. I don't even know what I'm gonna say, okay? We're good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guide you from the moment you awaken until the moment you go to sleep. I guide you from the moment that you were born until the moment that you die. I never separate from you. My guidance is in your strength, it's within your wisdom, it's within your knowingness, it's within your mistakes, it's within what you see as your shortcomings. My guidance is there when you sleep. My guidance is there for you in my love for you. Sometimes at your lowest moments are the times that you feel me and know me and see me and sense me the most. I never, ever separate or disappear from your life. In the happy times and in the not so happy times, I'm there by your side. I may be an energetically more significant presence to you when you're feeling unhappy or disempowered or sad, because it's important that you know how loved you are and how much I will never, ever, ever leave you. That I'm by your side 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sometimes when you're feeling the most happy and the most ecstasy and bliss in your own happiness, when you feel those celebratory moments, you can also sense my being there with you, celebrating, throwing confetti, helping you to ride the wave of the goodness of what it feels like to be the soul that you really are. So I have all of these shared moments with you, and I will always have these shared experiences with you. My goal is to have more of those celebratory moments with you and fewer of those pained moments, because I want you to remember and re-experience what it's like to be a pure soul without any human encumbrances. And now I'm going to ask you to write briefly about how I am setting out to accomplish that. How am I helping you have more of your moments where I can celebrate with you rather than help you past pain? 4 minutes. One of the things I found pretty interesting about that assignment so far is that your guides never told you what auto writing is, and they never told you where the information might come from in that writing assignment, which I find really fascinating that they didn't do that. I've taught plenty of intuition development classes, and primarily, did you turn that back on?
Mhm.
Okay, primarily, they do spend a good amount of time telling you what auto writing is, what you can expect, and how it works. So I do find it interesting how they brought you into it without really explaining the process. I think that's part of what they were talking about. Let's just make the assumption of having the knowingness that we're all capable of doing this. We don't have to spend too much time figuring out what it means. Auto writing means writing without you having to put the plan together. You don't have to create the outline, choose the words, punctuate it properly, have it edited. It's not coming from the space of logic. It's not coming from the place of academia. Auto writing is effortless writing where you allow it to flow through you. Okay? Does everybody understand that? I found that really interesting that they didn't even set you up just with that little bit of information. And I assume most people in this room understand what auto writing is to begin with. Okay, our second assignment, I'm gonna do a little bit of the pre-talk again. Once again, I can honestly tell you I don't know what we're gonna say. And then we'll give you another amount of time, okay? And the same process where you don't have an agenda, you don't have something that you need to say to your guides. Your role is simply to listen and to record what pops up in your head, okay? You're not the director, you're the auto receiver, okay? And that, I know, for whatever intention, they did not say that last time. Okay, so this time, we're gonna begin. And I don't think that the time that they're gonna give you to write is gonna be all that much longer. But I will tell you, just kinda off the record here, when I was learning to auto write, one of the things that was really important in my training in the beginning was that I had every one of my writing sessions be a minimum of 20 minutes. And the reason that they were always a minimum of 20 minutes was because it takes the average human 20 minutes to get ourselves out of the way. The analytical part of us, the part that wants to prove that we're smart, or we may even want to prove that we're not smart to ourselves, because that's our frame of reference. But we will have an agenda at first, and we also are conscious of our spelling and grammar, almost as if we think someone's going to read or correct the writing. We also have this other thing that's saying, is this good enough? Am I good enough? Some people can do this, I can't. So there's all this self-doubt that gets blended in. And for us to quiet all that down, the auto writing process, it does take us about 20 minutes to get rid of it. So I think it's kind of interesting to see that they're not gonna give you 20 minutes for anything tonight. So it'll be very interesting to see, they're operating with you on certain levels tonight to help you become farther along than you might have been, than if you had gone through a very slow, arduous auto writing course, okay? And that's where we are. So our writing assignment this time is not gonna be terribly long in length either, but this time they'll give you the length when they're done doing their opening for you, okay? Okay. As we have already explored, you are quite aware that I have been guiding you since the moment that you were born. Your ability to parallel with your attention and your quest in being here doesn't start at any one given moment, but it starts at birth. There are times when you separate from that intention to a degree, and there are times when you parallel it and immerse yourself in that intention fully and wholly and lovingly. The way that you can determine which parts of your life, which moments of your life have been paralleling with that soul's quest, and which moments of your life have been separated from that soul's quest, is to think about the times when you were the most passionate, the most excited, the most eager, or the most lost in time, that a pursuit separated you from the construct that we see as linear time. These are pieces of evidence that you are paralleling with one of your intentions or purposes in coming into this human form to begin with. I know when all of those moments were in your lifetime, and they are vast, and there are many, many of them. There were also periods of your life when you could not get into that groove because the parameters of your day-to-day experiences were so harsh and so separated from the vibration of love that you weren't able to be paralleling with your soul's intention in a meaningful way. But what I want to do with you right now is I just want to write out a list of those meaningful moments in your life of when I can feel and you could feel you really paralleling with the reasons why you came here to begin with. Those joyous moments that you felt so comfortable in your own skin and so happy to be exactly where you were in the moment. So let's write that list together for the next 3 minutes. Very, very, very quickly. Guys, I'm not going to speak to you directly. I have words in my hand. Every word is different. You're going to be handed a word and it'll be in seemingly random order. I have no idea what word you will get. Okay, but the process of who matches up with each word is going to be orchestrated by your guides. Okay, what the goal is here is as soon as I give you the word, you start writing about that word. Feel the flow, feel how you're guided, and just keep writing about that word without any worries about whether you're right or wrong, okay? For this particular assignment, we're going to have 5 minutes, okay? And you can start when you get your word. Everyone do? Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, nods all around?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting when you use words that you don't use, like normally use.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
no, that didn't come from me. I never use
Yeah.
that word.
yeah.
What word was that?
Cagey.
Cagey?
Cagey.
Yes.
That's not you.
No.
That's not anybody. All right, now, first of all, let me give you your homework assignment in case I get long-winded again. and I forget. But your homework assignment is it on, Sue?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what we're gonna do is very, very, very briefly, we're just gonna go around the room and everyone's gonna just state what their word is. As you're listening to the words, you can jot them all down if you choose, or just jot down 3 that resonate with you. Ones that just, oh, I like that one, or that sounds good. You don't even have to have an explanation for it. Jot down 3 words, and between now and when we see each other again on August 9th, do an independent auto writing about those 3 words, okay? Try to quiet your mind before you begin. One thing I can understand is that when we're in this room together, there's an inherent trust. We feel safe in this zone because we love and support each other. You just know that because anytime you show up for an event with me, you know that we support each other, okay? So that safety extends to helping us feel comfortable in the auto writing environment. So at home, it's important that you feel comfortable, whether it means you meditate or you go into the woods or you have no distractions or particular energies not around. Make sure that when you're doing the assignment at home, that you also feel supported, that you feel comfortable, that you feel happy with who you are in the moment, okay? Does everybody understand the assignment? Choose 3 words. You can either jot down them all tonight and pick intuitively on another day, or you can pick intuitively today the 3 that you will choose to write about, okay? All right, good.
Could you suggest an amount of time?
Well, that's what I was gonna say next,
Sorry,
actually.
sorry.
Yeah, it's up to you whether you do all 3 at once, if you do 2 at once and 1 at another time. But I would try to recommend that you set a timer for a 15-minute window to engage. You don't necessarily have to write for that whole 15 minutes, but try to set a 15-minute window to be engaged in the zone, okay? You might be, try not to look at the clock, let it be a sound timer that you're not paying attention to. You might find in the last 10 seconds, all of a sudden you get a flood of information. But even the quiet in that zone, if you feel like you've exhausted everything that might want to be written, you might see something else that pops up in the emptiness of that silence, which we didn't really work on tonight, but that'll give you another way to experiment with the process. Does everybody understand? All right, good. Okay, so Debbie, what's your word?
Benefit.
What is it?
Benefit.
Immediately, I think of Michelle.
Julie,
Illusion.
Aviva,
Establish.
Sue,
Establish.
Enable.
Ready.
Ready?
Yes.
Remember.
Debbie,
Ordinary. Ordinary.
Interesting. Joanne,
Effort.
Bill,
Persistence.
interesting words.
Mm.
Okay. All right, now here's what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna explain to you how we're going to look at what we have done tonight. Normally when you have an auto writing experience at home, the best thing to do is to shut your book and walk away after the time is over. But tonight, because we have a limited amount of time with each other, we can't give ourselves that 3-hour or 3-day buffer before we look at it again. But also, under this premise again, that you feel safe and protected and guided and empowered in this environment, we're gonna try to just work past needing that time buffer and just get right to what it is that we would do next. Ordinarily, if you auto write with yourself, by yourself, shut the book or close the computer before you reread it. It's really important you have a time buffer before you read it again. And the reason is that if you reread an assignment immediately, you're coming at it with your logical brain. You're analyzing whether or not you wrote it, you're trying to determine whether it's good enough, you're trying to determine whether or not you're adequate. And whatever you assign as your belief in that moment immediately after you write becomes the whole of what that auto writing is. You will never be able to see it clearly again about whether it was co-created or if you created it by yourself. Do you follow me? That link will be made. But it's much more clear when you revisit it with a time buffer because it feels separate from you when you haven't just written it. And when you're reading it, you're like, oh, geez, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that word. I wouldn't have said that phrase, or that's better than I could have done. You know, all of a sudden these things start to pop up where you don't necessarily feel like you authored it. And there are going to be times when you're like, I clearly wrote that. And there are going to be times when you're like, I think I kind of added to it, but I don't necessarily know that I wrote the whole of it. Oftentimes, not to diminish the power of every one of you, but oftentimes auto writing is more powerful than you could do by yourself. Okay, let it be said. Guides are unencumbered. They don't have all this human, all these barriers and restrictions and obstacles and limits. Okay, so it's like, woo, wow, that's amazing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reread the first assignment, and you're going to take 3 different color markers. When you reread your first assignment, you're going to assign 1 color marker for the different ways that you can perceive what was written. You use 1 color if you wrote it by yourself. Mark it. You're going to use a different color if you feel that your guide wrote it and you simply recorded it. And you're going to use a 3rd color if you feel like you both had a hand in it and it was a co-created sentence. So at some point throughout the first passage, you might see all 3 colors. You might see only 1 color. Does everybody understand? Okay, these are markers from my kids, so please test the markers before we begin. Can I give you 3?
Yes.
All right, so I'll pass these around this way. Just obviously take 3 distinct colors, okay, and test them.
And it's just words that we're supposed to, or is that the sentences?
It's usually like a sentence would be something. You might find that, you know, a whole paragraph gives you a vibe. A word might give you a vibe. It might be like a word that seems out of place in a sentence. So what the whole goal is, did I write it? Did they write it? Did we write it? You can even make a key with your markers off to the side. Orange means me, yellow means us, and red means both of us. Okay? Everybody understand? Yeah? Okay, good. I also have with me some highlighters, if anyone prefers a highlighter, but I prefer the markers. Anyone want highlighters instead? Just always set the timer for 15 every time you do the auto writing. You do all 3, you could do 1, you could do 2. If you do each one separately, you'll have 15, 15, and 15, but the window will always be 15.
And how
Okay.
much time do you step away to reread?
I really, in the beginning, I really like that you don't reread it until at least the following day. 1
Okay.
overnight of sleep. in the beginning. It's very, very, very helpful, okay? One of the reasons why I didn't want you to read the other 2 assignments is because it's better if you don't look at them until tomorrow, okay? And even doing this late at night, if you wanted to wait until Saturday, that wouldn't be terrible either. It's really interesting. One of the things I found in the beginning was like, I would spell words with, I would spell words a lot with the English spelling. Theater was R-E, behavior had a U in it, color would have a U in it, and I would find that a lot, and I would definitely not do that as Karen, you know? I was the spelling bee master when I was a kid. I was not misspelling anything. So it was kind of funny to see theater and behavior. Still to this day when I write behavior with a guide or color with a guide, it'll be the English spelling and not our spelling.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and what happened is when one of my books that I wrote, I spelled it the auto writing way and I wrote it the English way. And after the book was printed, I'm like, darn, I cannot believe it that I spelled it the English way and it got printed the English way, not the way we spell it. The word was judgment. Judgment in the United States is Judgment. In England, it's Judgement. So it's just so funny how that happens, right? Very funny. So luckily, most people don't know how to spell judgment, so I'm like, all right, they're not gonna know it's misspelled. Good one to goof on.
This is hysterical.
You say that in one of the years
Evil
before us.
laugh.
Right?
Who's that?
So judgy, so judgmental.
Judgmental, you.
Okay, all right, so, how was the experience of seeing through whose eyes that was written, whose thought energy? How was that experience for you? What we're gonna do is, if you have a dominance of you saying you wrote it, you're gonna raise your hand the first time I ask. If you see a dominance of they wrote it, you'll raise your hand. If you see a dominance of you co-writing, you're gonna raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand at all, you know, we'll talk to you. Tell me what it is you did see. You might say, I saw equal of this and this, or whatever. But let's see if we see any trends of dominance to begin with among us, okay? Sue, you are so determined to let the people that work with Michelle tomorrow have your name tag, aren't you?
Oh, did it fall again?
All the way underneath the next table over. It keeps happening. It's like the funniest thing.
They flow.
You're leaving your energy here whether you leave the tag or not, so don't worry. You'll get a little bit of that magic when they come in tomorrow.
That's so funny.
All right?
And what's so funny is I thought Michelle did the same thing, like hers fell, and I'm like, oh, you did.
Yeah, it did, that's why.
Oh, that's so funny.
I like the way you did yours. That was
It
cool.
just, they kept falling.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Raise your hand if you think that the dominance of the writing came from you. Okay. Raise your hand if you think the dominance of the writing came from them. Raise your hand if you think the dominance of writing was both.
Only one.
Two. Ah, it's really interesting. Okay. I didn't even really set out to predict, but the one hit I did get was that I knew Irene would say that most of it was written by her. That was the only psychic hit that I got when you guys were writing. I knew that you would say.
It was very beautiful though.
Yeah.
I actually cried because what was said when you said it was so lovely.
Aw.
Oh, it was.
Aw. I'm glad that it was recorded because we can get that typed up because I would love to.
I wish you would, because that
I
was.
will. I'll put it out there on a Facebook post one day because I think everyone should
And I
have a
actually
chance to be
think
able
I
to read
felt,
that.
I
Yeah.
actually felt that
Yes.
I was overwhelmed with that.
And it's interesting because I don't feel any ownership at all. Like I don't want to direct what's said, and that's how you can feel the resonance of it because it's coming from your guides. Your guides co-created what was said. You know.
It was
All right.
lovely.
So I did think that you were going to say that you did most of the writing. That was my prediction, or all of the writing. Okay. I don't agree with you, also intuitively. However, I did know what your response would be. Okay? Okay, so now let's talk about how did it feel when you reread it and you could sense another voice in there? How did that feel to you? What made you know it was not your voice?
Because I've been asking the guys to show me things for a long time, so a lot of what I wrote that I thought the guide said was already something I had thought. that the
Okay,
guide
and
had
then it
shown.
came out on the piece of paper, and you
Mhm.
would put that intention and that suggestion there already. Okay, terrific.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
It was an affirmation,
Okay,
you know, things, like you said, that you've been thinking, but almost like an answer kind of thing.
okay, all right, good. Anyone else have any feelings of how they noticed their guide's hand in it?
Well, we had written, 6 things, and they said there's 7.
Oh, cool,
So the
I
last
like
thing
that.
I wrote, I feel is just them, but I
Okay.
think I was a part of the rest.
Okay.
But I was missing something.
Okay. The first assignment that they gave was very much kind of like a list that asked you to go into your database of memories. One of the reasons I'm telling you things on the fly here. I don't know what's happening when you're doing it. That's one of the reasons I love to teach intuition development classes, because they're designed for you. They're not designed by me. And I don't have an agenda other than to get you farther than you are, okay, by being a conduit. But what was really interesting is that they set the first assignment up as lists for you to go through your database of memories so that you could start to experience what it's like to have guides go into your database of memories and pull them out for you. One of the primary ways that guides allow me to be a conduit for them is to go into my database of memories, and they find ways that I can have a frame of reference for what it is that they're asking me to share with the client. You know, sometimes it gets a little choppy if I don't have a frame of reference for the client, because guides have to use me and my human experience in order to communicate something that they would like them to understand. So quite often it'll be like I'm 17 again. I'm being brought into a memory of my first long-term boyfriend, and then I jump to his brother, and then I'm saying something about his brother. I don't think about that. I haven't thought about it in 25 years. Yet here it is, incredibly relevant for you in that session, because I have a frame of reference for something that you or someone in your life is experiencing. So they're poking around in there. I always think of it as like the game Operation. You know, all of a sudden when the light goes on, they got it, and you feel like, I want to tell you this. And when you actually tell the other person it, and you feel them accept it, or they understand something, you realize that the process has happened successfully. Do you understand? Okay.
It was at the band show last Tuesday at Jones Beach. They had 3 psychics up there. But the one younger guy said that how they work through him is one of his family members. So if it's his mother, he knows which direction to go to. If it's his uncle, he knows.
That's interesting.
That, and once they tell him the family member, he has the emotions to
Yes.
relay the message
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. But what I do,
I don't, but it
addition-
sounded like you having the same
Right.
experience.
But in addition, what is so cool about it is that your guides can actually find the memory stored. Do you follow me? It could be something that you don't even know you remember, and all of a sudden it's coming forth. And when this can happen in your real life at any time. All of a sudden you're saying, oh, when I was such and such an age, and all of a sudden the person has comprehension, or they feel new peace or new hope, or something happens for the person you're talking to. Your guides went into that database of yours and pulled and elicited that memory out for you so you could share it, because they knew it was relevant to the person, and that the person would be able to receive it in that moment. You follow me? And it's interesting, because when we have an agenda, it doesn't work that way. So suppose I want to tell somebody right now about that boyfriend's brother's experience, right? So I hear you talking, and then, Joan, I want you to know about this kid. His name was Duke. If I start to tell it to you and it's not gonna resonate or have any relevancy, but it's only me wanting to tell you and it's my agenda, because for some reason I wanna tell you about that experience, it's gonna go flat. You're not gonna be interested, you're gonna interrupt me in the middle, a teacup is gonna fall off the table. It's not gonna happen. We're not gonna have the partnership, right? So that's something interesting, is having things in list form like this and tapping into your database of memories. Your guides were evoking memories that you might not have completely come up with on your own. You follow me? That suggestion that they put out there before you began writing, that was a pretty mighty suggestion. Do you really think that you could have sat down on a Sunday afternoon and say, hey, hon, I'm gonna write a list of all the ways that I've been paralleling with my soul's intention through passion when I was younger. Actually, I'm gonna go through chronological order. All right, let's see. All right, be quiet. It's not gonna happen, right? Right? It's not gonna happen. But you can see that as they guided you through that intention and then guided you in eliciting those memories, it happened because they helped you. So even though we went through the 3 colors, you know, there's more assistance there than is even evident in the 3 colors. Just the fact that you could elicit relevant memories based on that topic that they had suggested. You got it? All right. Now that I've said that, do you see any more ways in which your guides were guiding you in that passage?
No, I can be pretty critical. I mean, and I also could step aside and,
No?
no, because,
Did any memory on that page surprise you?
oh, I mean, like, the list, okay,
Yeah.
back to the list, no,
Nothing surprised you?
no, they were just things that I was happy at doing.
Okay, okay, all right. All right, so in addition to the homework assignment that you have with the other words, take 3 additional words. Your other homework assignment is to take 3 different colors like we did tonight, and not before tomorrow, review the other 2 passages and find yours, mine, and ours in there, okay? All right. I will tell you that there was co-creation in that passage. Would you like to look at it again tomorrow?
In the list?
In the list.
Okay,
All right, would you like to look at it again tomorrow?
okay,
All right.
I will.
And if you don't come back with a different colored answer on the first,
You'll beat me?
this is for you too, Julie. If the 2 of you take another crack at it tomorrow with the intention of finding your guide's voice immersed in there somewhere, you're not able to come back with a different color on that page next time. What you're gonna do is you're gonna give them to me, and I'm going to tell you who wrote what. All right, got it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I,
good.
you know, I have to say, there might be one word when I wrote something down and then I said, sometimes,
Okay,
so,
okay.
and it was
Did you
like,
understand, Julie?
Yeah, no, I had 2 colors in there, but I was mainly dominant. Mainly dominant.
Okay,
But I
you
still
did
had
have
like
2.
2.
What was
Yeah.
the second color you had?
Second color was both.
Both. I thought you were gonna say both.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just see if you can amp it up just a little tiny bit
Okay.
more, where you can credit them with at least a word that they
Okay.
gave without your help.
Okay.
They like to know that they're capable.
I did add
okay?
one word
We have to
underlined.
encourage our guys.
I did add one word underlined as both, and then I was like, maybe it's just you.
All right, good, good. I might review them next time anyway, if, you know, if it's okay with you guys, just to help everybody see that there's, I'm gonna intuit who wrote what, obviously, okay?
I have no problem with that.
All right, good. On these assignments that you have coming up, the 3, do not think about the word before you sit down. It's not auto writing if you think about the word before you sit down, okay?
Yeah.
Then it's you writing.
But are we writing all 3 together or 3
Okay,
separate
and,
times?
I'll just reiterate, you can do 2 at once and 1 separately. You can do 3 at
Okay.
once, or you can do 1, 1, 1. Any combination that you want, as long as you hit all 3 words by the time that we return. No matter how many times you sit down, 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times, each period will be 15 minutes. Got that? Okay. Good, everybody. Thanks for being here. It was like awesome,
Thank
awesome,
you.
awesome to be with all of you tonight. I'm gonna be sending the information over to the 4 people that were absent tonight so they can catch up with us and they'll be up to speed when we get together again next time. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thank you.
couple of weeks. And I will see you on August 9th, which is a Wednesday.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Okay?
Are you gonna send that out for us?